At last, the DLC is upon us, and I was lucky enough to be invited by Bandai Namco to play in the DLC arena on the PlayStation 4. And oh boy, this will be a new chapter in Dark Souls 3 PvP. Also, thanks to Gareth who invited me to play the game. He works in Bandai Namco in Richmond, London. It was just basically me, Gareth, and the Sunlight Blade, so we really had the chance to play this hands-on, and we did play it for about 3 hours. Unfortunately, I didn't record the first half of the fights due to technical issues with the recording. In this video, I will tell you all you need to know about the DLC arena and talk about the new weapons, spells, and armor. So first things first, how do we access the arena? It's accessed through the Firelink Shrine bonfire. There is a prompt, Undead Match. Once you press on it, it gives you different game modes that you can choose from, and man, I was so excited when I saw the modes. There is 1 vs 1 duels, 2 vs 2, 3 vs 3, and there is also duel for 4 or 6 players, and yes, that is a free-for-all match. I have to say, this will add a ton in terms of PvP. It was so much fun playing in the arena, especially the 3 vs 3, which unfortunately I don't have footage for to show it off, but you might see that in Sunlight's Blade video. Shout out to him, by the way, we had a lot of fun playing together. I think that after the release of the arena, most PvP hotspots will die off quickly, as this is way more convenient. No need to put signs, no need to take risks by getting ganked or screwed over by an unhonorable host. It's just very easy to access, and it's way more fun than traditional duels in Dark Souls 3. You can also add a password, so you can play with friends and such. So in the past, doing a PvP event was very difficult in Dark Souls 3, but now expect some events from me, where I say let's all play 3 vs 3 in this specific date with skills being the password. It will be glorious. Any arena match that isn't a 1 vs 1 has a timer. When the timer ends, whatever team gets more kills wins. However, in duels, it is who kills the other first, but it also has a timer too, although shorter than team fights or brawls. At first, we thought that you're always red colored in the arena, but then when we dueled at the end, me and the Sunlight Blade, I was all of a sudden a blue. We never knew why at that point. Then I noticed that it might be the covenants. You know, if you're a blue sentinel, you'll be a blue. If you're Aldris Faithful, you're a purple, and so on and so forth. Every time you die, you spawn back and do an auto Wrath of the Gods, so players can't gank you once you spawn. I actually got shocked when I first got hit by one. It was so funny, for real. I really had so much fun playing this. This is basically what PvPers wanted since ages ago, and finally, they delivered. You cannot heal when you 1 vs 1, but you can use Ashen Estus flasks. However, you can heal in team fights. You get 1 heal and you get another if you die. I don't really know if you can restock on them before you die. It might be that you refill each time you get a kill, but I really don't know. Now, before I start talking about the new equipment, let me just clear a couple of things up. First, Bandai Namco told us that this is still not the final build. Second of all the builds we were using were pre-built, and man, they were bad. They all had the base game equipment, and you had to go in the menu and find what new DLC weapons were there, and with so many equipments in the menu, it took ages to figure out where the new stuff was. In addition to that, everything was unupgraded, and we had limited souls and upgrade materials, so most of the footage will basically feature unupgraded weapons. There was a guy who was using a fully upgraded Exile Curved Sword when we were playing 3 vs 3, and he was killing us in 2 or 3 hits, which was ridiculous, especially with our builds having 20 vigor. So in terms of pre-builds, it was abysmal, and I had to use the storage so I can keep using the DLC stuff. The storage was so messed up that there is actually a weapon that we didn't even try because we couldn't find it. I noticed it while editing this video, and it's called Earthseeker. So let's start with the new weapons, and man, they are awesome. I really loved From's creativity this time around. The first weapon we will be looking at is the Quakestone Hammer. It's mainly a strength weapon, and this one is definitely one of my favorites. Even when it's unupgraded, it was dishing out a lot of damage, but the most awesome thing with this weapon is its battle art. It starts with hitting the hammer onto the earth, which starts a mini earthquake, then you follow up with an upward smash that sends everybody flying through the air. The second weapon is Valour Heart. It is a sword and shield in one package, and I think this will be one of the meta weapons. Almost its entire moveset is new, even the jumping attack. I really love this weapon, and we actually saw a glimpse of it in the DLC trailer. The third weapon is Onyx Blade. It is a weapon wielded by Uria's sister of Londor. Actually, a lot of the weapons are Londor or Velka related, so this seems to be the DLC that will shed light on Londor, it seems. But getting back to topic, the Onyx Blade is my favorite in terms of looks. It boosts the same moveset as standard greatswords in the base game, but it has a very long range, maybe the longest greatsword now. It's unique in that it caters to dark and pyromancy builds, and its weapon art is a dark buff you add on the weapon that looks glorious. The fourth weapon is Crow Quills, yet another weapon connected to Carivians and Velka. It's a rapier with a very special weapon art. You basically jump into the air and throw multiple throwing knives, similar to the Karthus enemies in the Catacombs of Karthus. I was using it unupgraded, so I don't know if it will be, viable, but it seemed to have very high critical damage. The fifth weapon is Millwood Battle Axe. I didn't play with that one much, but its weapon art is a new one in the game. You basically run very fast, and at the end you make like a small jump, and then you gain perseverance. I think this is so you can close in on your opponent and then attack without getting stunned. Hopefully, this opens up new ways to engage in PvP fights. The sixth weapon is Follower's Javelin. We also saw this weapon in the trailer. It mostly acts like a spear, but what's more interesting is its weapon art. You can throw this thing on your opponent from far away. Super cool. It consumes focus points, but you can do as much as you want. You can actually free aim this, and I'm pretty sure this will be the equivalent of a throwing knife from Call of Duty. Getting kills with this thing is going to be awesome. I can imagine a team of 3 using this weapon all at the same time. It will be like fighting Spartans, Can't wait for the PvP action that awaits us. The seventh weapon is Crow Talons. This is the closest you can get to being a Wolverine. It's a fist/claw weapon with all sorts of crazy attacks. You can jump attack, lash out with your claws, and much more. It's super awesome in terms of animations, but we have to wait and see if this thing will actually be viable in PvP. The eighth weapon is the Follower's Torch. And yes, I know you're like, what the hell? Torch ain't even a weapon. But believe it or not, the Follower's Torch is an actual weapon. Its weapon art engulfs flames all around you, and it seems to me that it's going to be viable. You can actually riposte with it, as Sunlight Blade was able to perform a riposte with it, which is super badass. The ninth weapon is Millwood Great Bow. It's a new great bow that inflicts about 300 damage when unupgraded. It seems going to be the most powerful great bow, but we have to wait and see. The 10th weapon is Earthseeker. Didn't even try that one, so I have no idea what it's going to be, but it seems to be like a normal axe. Those are all the weapons that we were able to play with. I don't know if there will be more than that once the DLC actually drops. But now let's start talking about the new spells. There were 4 of them, and I think this is all the spells we will get in this DLC, as Miyazaki said in one of his interviews that there will be 4 of them. The first one is Frozen Weapon. And yes, this is a Frostbite sorcery buff, similar to how Lightning Blade is a lightning buff. Man, I was so excited when I saw this. I actually made a recent video talking about how Frostbite is very lacking in the base game, and I'm happy that they're rectifying this by improving on it in the DLC. His description is also interesting as it talks about the origins and upbringing of Pontiff Sullivan. I still don't know the exact details and how this buff will, work exactly, but it definitely inflicts frost damage. The second spell is Snap Freeze, yet another frostbite inflicting spell, but this one is super powerful. This is some of the best missed attacks we have seen as it inflicts frostbite very quickly. Like if you get hit by that thing, you will almost certainly get frostbitten. I think this will be a very powerful spell for sorcerers. The third spell is the Way of White Corona. We have seen this spell in the trailer before, and it's as awesome as it looks. It's a miracle related to the Way of White, a covenant that we were able to join back in Dark Souls 1. In Dark Souls 3, their story continues through the Cathedral of the Deep, and I guess we will learn more about them in this DLC. The fourth and final spell is Floating Chaos, a pyromancy spell that was actually in the base game but was handled by NPC enemies in Demon Ruins. Now we can use this spell ourselves, and it seems to be great in overwhelming enemies. We also had a new pyromancy flame called Pyromancer Parting Flame. It has an odd weapon art that we still don't know how it works exactly, but from what I understood from the description is that it replenishes Estus Flask. But it seems that it doesn't work in the arena. As you can see, the Sunlight Blade is using it here. You can't actually cancel that animation, so I wonder what it really does. I only saw it unupgraded, although I had a fully upgraded standard Pyro Glove in the pre-built Pyromancer build. The magic adjustments seem to be close to one another, despite the new Pyro Glove being unupgraded while the old one is fully upgraded. So there's a big chance that this will be more powerful than the standard Pyro Glove. There was also a couple of new shields and armor. The new shields that I saw are Follower's Shield and Ethereal Oak Shield. I also saw 3 armor sets, one called Follower's Armor, another is called Slave Armor, which is basically the same armor as the NPC we see in the DLC trailer, and the third armor is Millwood's Armor. So this is all the equipment that I saw firsthand. I'm pretty sure that there'll still be more once the DLC drops. So let me give you my opinion on the arena. I think this is one of the best additions we will ever have in terms of PvP, as I was legitimately having a ton of fun playing this. I feel that the arena will reduce tryhard builds, as more builds are viable now, since we have 2 vs 2 fights and 3 vs 3 fights. Casters, for example, perform very well in team fights, so they will be more common once the arena drops. I also think this will slowly kill the usual PvP spots like the Pontiff Sullivan area and High Wall of Lothric, as this is way more fun and convenient and way more balanced too. I think this will be great for the community, as there is ton more stuff to do now in terms of PvP. I love this so much despite me not playing the actual DLC. I think if they just drop the arena, most of us will be happy, but the arena is just one part of the DLC, so I can't wait to see what they have in store for us. I will be uploading like crazy once the DLC drops, so make sure to subscribe so you don't miss on all the awesome stuff we will be featuring on this channel. I can't wait for that. Tell me what you think about the DLC and the arena in general, and if you have any questions, make sure to post it down in the comment section below. I'll try my best to answer all of them. So that's all for this video. See you in the next one. Farewell.